Hello, and you probably noticed Bitcoin did pump today. Why? Very simple reason. The Fed's labor reports came in and they were much better than expected. We expected the payrolls to increase by 150,000 jobs. They actually increased by 254,000 jobs in September. So, based on that, the market saw the economy was still pretty good, and a lot of people's concerns were alleviated of the massive layoff situation and people not being able to find jobs and the economy going into a recession. But we're not actually going into a recession, so people feel comfortable about that. Now, however, it's not all roses for Bitcoin because the labor report being much stronger than expected does mean the Fed is going for a much smoother soft landing, which means they're not going to quite cut rates as much. And I think that's perfectly fine. I think Jerome Powell has reverted back to a 25 basis point cut in November, and that'll be after the election, so it won't actually affect the election, but people are kind of expecting it right now. But the economic concerns that have had a lot of people concerned, I think, have been mitigated, at least for right now. And that's why Bitcoin's sentiment is positive despite the Middle Eastern tension. And yes, the port worker strike did get resolved. So that's another disaster averted right there. So I think the economic situation is actually looking pretty good for Bitcoin right now. And, there was a BlackRock executive that actually came in and said Bitcoin has potential to grow until about $300,000. But that's like his overall price for Bitcoin, not for this particular bull run. Obviously, this all can be completely dashed by a sudden change for the worse in events in the Middle East. And even though OPEC has agreed to raise their oil producing limit, it might not actually be enough to offset closing the Strait of Hormuz if Israel and Iran really go to war. So that is the situation that we're most fearful of right now. But I think aside from that situation, if they somehow sign some kind of ceasefire, if Netanyahu stops trying to blow up everyone around him, then we could actually get a pretty good bull market starting this month. If not, then we're probably gonna have to wait a month or two. But I am very confident that the bull run is still on, especially given the good economic numbers. Yes, employers, there's some layoffs and stuff, but overall the economy is still gaining jobs right now. Wages are still going up. Overall wages went up about 3.8% year over year since last year, about offsetting inflation at this point. Obviously, it depends on which industry and what job you actually have. But overall, the labor and economic situation seems to be kind of flattening out, doing pretty well, and going the way that people want it to go. So people are getting more and more confident in the economy, and that bodes very well for Bitcoin. The big institutional guys have said glowing things about Bitcoin over the last couple of days. So I am pretty confident in thinking that Bitcoin can cross 100,000 probably early next year and go into maybe 150,000 at the top of the bull run, in which case altcoins will run. Once again, the three categories I would pay attention to in altcoins are RWA, AI, and memes. And of course, the top dexes on the specific chains. I think those will actually do really, really well. So that's kind of my report on the thing. There is going to be a Satoshi Reveal HBO documentary. Now, they have already disclosed that this might not settle the Satoshi debate once and for all. And interestingly enough, there is a Polymarkets betting market on who they will actually reveal to be Satoshi Nakamoto. Obviously, Hal Finney and Adam Back are two of the top three contenders, being number 2 and number 3 respectively. However, the top contender is one that very few people have heard of. He's called Lynn Sassman. He also died back in 2011. So it would actually make sense if he was Satoshi and he lost the keys and the coins never moved. It could also make sense if it's Hal Finney. He is a famous cryptographer, obviously not as famous as Hal Finney, Adam Back and stuff. And it definitely could be him. He was 31 when he died. Now, we did actually get a couple of interesting emails, earlier this year, looking at to see who Satoshi actually is. And Satoshi, the guy that was supposedly Satoshi, did actually mention Hal Finney and said like he was really, really involved earlier on than the guy that was that is meant to be Satoshi was. And then he passed the Satoshi torch onto like this guy called Marty for a couple of months before he took it back. So my guess is that Satoshi is a series of people rather than one specific person. But maybe this guy, like Lynn Sassman, was the guy that I was actually issuing these letters. So once again, they don't have conclusive proof of who Satoshi Nakamoto is in this documentary. They're probably just hyping it up to hoping that people will buy their HBO documentary. So Lynn Sassman, who is leading in the poly market betting market for being Satoshi Nakamoto. He was a cryptographer and privacy advocate, which aligns well with Satoshi's ideals. He's in the spotlight because bettors on Polymarket think he may be identified as Satoshi Nakamoto. Basically, whether he was the real Satoshi or not, Sassman was an interesting character. So basically, information about Leonard Harris Sassman, that's his full name, is very scant. He attended a Tony private school in his native state of Pennsylvania and was a cryptography wonder kid, according to multiple accounts. While still in his late teens, Sassman was drawn to San Francisco, Cali, and fell in with the cypherpunks, which is where he kind of got a little bit of fame, by the ways. Sassman worked on such projects as Pretty Good Privacy Software and its Update GNU Privacy Guard. He and his wife, computer scientist Meredith Patterson, founded the SaaS group startup Osogato. He was a doctoral student in electrical engineering at the Katholieke University in Belgium when he died by suicide on July 3rd at the age of 31. And a memorial to him was encoded into block 138725 of Bitcoin blockchain. So he is immortalized in Bitcoin blockchain, which means he was important to Bitcoin. So this does make a little bit of sense saying that he's Satoshi. Of course, we really don't know. And obviously in block 138725, there's kind of like a text picture of Lynn Sassman. So there was like an article completely about this, and someone else, his wife, actually replied on, I think on Twitter, said, "It is a very well-researched and respectable article, but to the best of my knowledge, Lynn was not Satoshi. Worth reading for the history and the conclusions about mental health, though." So his wife actually said like came out and said he wasn't actually Satoshi, or she did not believe that her husband was Satoshi Nakamoto, but she might not have actually known entirely. There is circumstantial evidence to support the theory that Sassman was Nakamoto. Sassman left behind an impressive list of publications, conference presentations, and other academic activity, certainly enough to convince a non-specialist of his capability of inventing Bitcoin. He was a member of the International Financial Cryptography Association and regularly spoke on financial cryptography. So he had the expertise to fully be Satoshi Nakamoto, but there were other people that were in it too. And he might have just been one of the many successive iterations of Satoshi Nakamoto and not just like the guy, because it wasn't just one guy. So I think the mystery will continue, and maybe they'll surprise us with a reveal that none of us have ever thought of. And crypto gaming might actually get a boost because crypto-friendly Tencent, which is a Chinese company, might actually buy out Ubisoft. I guess Ubisoft is having some financial troubles. The Guillemot family and Tencent would likely take the company private if the deal happens. So Chinese technology and gaming giant Tencent, which I think owns League of Legends, and Guillemot family are reportedly in talks to purchase French game publisher and developer Ubisoft in a deal that would take the company private. Bloomberg actually reported this, citing people familiar with the matter, but follows months of speculation over Ubisoft's future after the company was forced to lower its revenue expectations for its upcoming flagship gaming title, Assassin's Creed Shadows. So obviously, like, revenue expectations have to be lower. The company's not doing as well as they used to, so they might actually sell out. And taking it private would let them do a lot of things. Plus, Tencent is kind of like Chinese owned, so there's that as well. While details are scarce, Bloomberg reports that talks involve taking the company private. Presumably, this would work in much the same way as Elon Musk's Twitter buyout, but they're actually buying a company that's actually worthwhile and not that one that's like massively overpriced, which took the then public social media private as it rebranded to X Social Media. As a private company, Ubisoft would no longer be beholden to shareholders nor required to disclose its earnings publicly. And I think that would actually help the Tencent umbrella a lot. However, it's unclear exactly what position Tencent or Guillemot family would actually hold. It's possible that Yves Guillemot, the company's current CEO and one of its co-founders, would seek a deal that retains his family's interest as the primary controlling owner. This will allow Ubisoft to continue operating with the financial backing of Tencent, China's most valuable company, while remaining under its current management. So there's a lot of stuff that's actually rumored about this deal. We don't really know a lot. Tencent obviously is very helpful to crypto, and it might actually implement crypto in future games. So I'm definitely hopeful for this, and if Ubisoft does actually get bought out by Tencent, hopefully, the possibility of Ubisoft launching a major title like Assassin's Creed with blockchain integration will actually increase. And if that does, that would definitely help out the entire crypto GameFi stuff a lot, because GameFi has definitely been wanting a AAA title. GameFi has definitely been wanting a AAA title to come out with blockchain integration, something that will hopefully get people to connect their wallets. I, for myself, believe that it's still much, much more suited to mobile gaming than actual AAA gaming. But we need one big game to really move the needle one way, or to move the needle towards more pro-crypto gaming. And people need to break that barrier. And maybe the Tencent buyout could actually be just what we're looking for. In other news, Coinbase is going to delist Tether in Europe. Yes, and this does have to do with the MiCA regulations. And this is going to favor USDC a lot. So maybe eventually USDC will overtake Tether, but that's still going to take a while. Tencent will delist non-compliant stablecoins from its European platform by the end of December to comply with EU's MiCA regulations. And MiCA has been causing a lot of headaches for stablecoin companies. So once again, Bloomberg reported that Coinbase will delist stablecoins that don't comply with EU regulations by the end of 2024, which is most of them, by the way. This move aligns with the full implementation of MiCA, which is set to tighten control over the digital asset sector. So MiCA does actually lay out strict guidelines for the digital asset sector, but it also provides a platform for Europe to actually work with. In a statement released October 4th, Coinbase spokesperson confirmed the company's commitment to regulatory compliance. Given our commitment to compliance, we intend to restrict the provision of services to EEA users in connection with stablecoins that do not meet MiCA requirements by December 30th, 2024. This will obviously benefit USDC the most at the detriment of Tether. However, Tether can actually get back into MiCA by applying for regulations and stuff like that. This regulation directly affects leading tokens like USDT, which may be forced off Coinbase platform unless it obtains the required authorization. That does not mean every single platform in Europe is going to delist Tether, only Coinbase, but it's kind of likely that other stablecoins, other trade exchanges will actually follow. Coinbase is one of many exchanges working to meet MiCA regulations as the EU prepares to enforce its regulations. And the EU as a whole is a really, really big market. So crypto companies are very much likely, especially the centralized exchanges, are very likely to meet its demands because they want to actually operate in Europe. Coinbase is not the only one. OKX, Bitstamp, and Uphold have also towed the line in terms of the European regulations. And there is very much a lot of competition in the stablecoin market, and perhaps Tether will actually toe the line as well. And USDC is also making euro-based stablecoins, which are going to be very, very popular with the European Parliament. So Circle USDC definitely making a lot of plans, and having USDT out of the way obviously works with those plans very well. USDC in response is experiencing a surge in trading in response to what Coinbase is doing and other exchanges are doing. In July, just after the EU stablecoin related regulations came into force, USDC trading volume soared by 48%. With USDC positioned as the leading MiCA compliant stablecoin, Coinbase's plans to offer conversion options could further solidify its market presence in the region, making it a preferred choice for users seeking regulatory approved digital assets. So the Europe is clamping down on the regulatory stuff, especially with stablecoins. I think USDC is going to be one of the few and perhaps the only big stablecoin that's actually left on Coinbase, and that will benefit USDC a lot. Definitely will benefit Circle and Goldman Sachs a lot. They are doing a lot of the right things. Tether may eventually re-imply and get back into Europe, but that will probably take at least a couple of months. Tether still has by far the the most liquidity of all the stablecoins. So they're still going to be number one for a while, but maybe USDC will slowly overtake it. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.